Hey guys, it's Henry from Adventure Air, and we're here in Corona, California at this great show put on by Shawn Hart right here, and he's going to tell us all about what he's doing here.
Hi, I'm Shawn Hart. I have the honor of being the president of the local EAA chapter here in Corona, right here on the center of our air show open house today, chapter 494. I became the president about 6 months ago, and I said, what are we going to do to kind of crawl out of our shell? And so I said, well, why don't we invite the public in, and everybody who's got a nice aircraft they want to put on display, we'll just see if we can get some of Corona out to see it. Everybody in Corona knows we have this great little nifty 50s type diner here at the airport, and some people just don't connect the fact that there's a runway next to it. So hopefully a lot of people will be gaining a little bit of appreciation for the joy of aviation that we have right here in Corona. Now, my background is I flew fighters mostly. I actually flew OV-10s, which we have with us today here on the ramp. I had one flown in just as a static display. I flew OV-10s in Germany in the Air Force. Then I flew F-16s in the Air Force. Then I flew A-7 Corsairs in the Air National Guard. Then that unit transitioned back to F-16s. Then I got out of that unit, and at about the same time I got hired in the airlines. I flew for Pan Am, then I flew for United, and I flew most of the airliners. The last 15 years I was an Airbus captain out of LAX at United. When all of that was said and done, I said, now I get to go fly something for fun. So what did I want to fly?
The gyroplane.
Gyroplanes. So I don't know what happened, but one day I conceived of the notion of buying a single place gyroplane that I'd wanted since I was a kid. This gyroplane was originally built in mid-1980s, around 1986 or so, and is an Air Command single place gyro. At the time, this was the biggest engine you could put on one, 64 horsepower, two-stroke engine, converted from a snowmobile. And the guy that built it, Dennis Fetters, he was one of the pioneers. After Igor Benson, would probably came Dennis Fetters in the Air Command in the evolution of the gyroplane. So I found this for sale, and I bought it, tore it all the way down to tubes, and rebuilt it from scratch, and I added all kinds of stuff. It's got a new radiator, it's got actual hydraulic independent brakes on the toes, so I actually steer with independent brakes, kind of like most modern airplanes do now. I added all the instruments, I added the extra range tanks, and I've added a few other nifty little bells and whistles that I kind of came up with. This little light here lights up when I'm within 4 feet of the ground. It's a ground proximity detector. It flashes at 4 feet, and then it goes solid at 1.5 feet above the ground. You fly this thing, it's a real adrenaline rush. It is the most nimble flying machine I have ever flown, and that includes F-16s. This thing, you can slow it down, just like the Cavalon or any of the other gyroplanes. You slow it down to 20 miles an hour or so, step on a rudder, and you can do a full 360 and just keep going. It's really pretty amazing if you're a long time 20,000 hour fixed wing guy like me. There was nothing like it when I first started flying these. After I built this, I got involved with the Popular Rotorcraft Association, Chapter 1 here. We meet up in the high desert at El Mirage Dry Lake Bed. Every year we have a fly-in up there. If you've got a gyroplane, basically if you've got anything that flies, bring it up to the dry lake bed there last weekend of September every year, and we'll have all kinds of RVs and award ceremonies and raffles and prizes, a big camaraderie, people camping out for 3 days and flying in the desert. I've done it for 5 years in a row now. Once I got into this, I said, well, the problem is you got to teach yourself how to fly a single-seat gyroplane, never having flown one. So the first thing I did is I found a CFI like Henry to give me some instruction. Well, you've got a private pilot license already. It's a lot easier than starting from scratch. So I had to fly with a certified flight instructor until he was comfortable that I knew how to fly and could pass the practical standards. And then I fly with another CFI who certifies that I can pass the practical standards. And that's it. No minimum hours if you're already a pilot. Really easy road to get into flying something that there really is no more fun flying in aviation. But when I got into the PRA chapter, I said, well, how are my other friends who've never flown before going to kind of get into this? Well, you got to start someplace, and you need to start with a guy like Henry, who will tell you everything you need to know to fly a gyroplane. And I'm saying that for people who've never flown, and I'm saying it even more specifically for people who've got a lot of hours flying fixed wing. It's similar, but it ain't the same. And so Henry and his crew will tell you what's what and how to keep you safe. But once you get it, it really is pretty easy to fly. Then I started looking for a two-place machine because I knew we were going to need to do transition between a high-end flying machine like the Cavalon or an NTO or even my American Ranger to something more rustic, shall we say, like my single place here. And so I went out shopping and I found a two-place Dominator. If you pulled up any YouTube video, and I know you have because you're watching this now, watch a guy named Barry Thigpen fly a single place Dominator, do stuff that is absolutely physically impossible if you ask me. I don't know how he does that stuff. It's amazing. Watch him do loops and barrel rolls and turns where you swear he's got maybe a foot and a half rotor clearance to the ground when he's cranking it around. Amazing. This was a great gyroplane built by Ernie Boyette in Florida. He built it as a kit and he built it as plans, both in the single and in the two-place version like this. I found a CFI in Florida named Greg Spicola, who's really a terrific CFI. He had a Dominator, so I flew out there and I got a couple hours to fly it after I bought this. Once I got it, it's pretty easy to fly. It's really kind of hard to screw up. The only thing that's weird about it is it sits up so high that your mind isn't in the mindset quite yet of landing when the wheels hit the ground. So it takes a little bit of getting used to every time I climb into it. But look at the landing gear shock absorbers on it. It can take a lot of punishment. It's a perfect two-place trainer to transition people from the higher end, more modern machines to the build-it-yourself single-place machines. Then the same guy, while I was taking those lessons with him, was one of the people who was doing a lot of the training on the American Ranger, which is about the only American-made gyroplane, two-seat modern gyroplane that you can get in the United States right now. That isn't an import from Germany like all the AutoGyro machines or Spanish machines like the EAA. I almost bought that EAA when you were selling that first one.
Yeah.
Thought seriously about it instead of buying this one. But Greg kind of sold me on this. I went out there. It comes with a full enclosure canopy that you can take off for the summertime, which I've done now. And it actually goes about 10 knots faster with the canopy off. But it's a great gyroplane. It's got a Rotax 914 turbo engine on it that I've had modified with Hal Stockton's big bore kit. I now got 135 horsepower in it. I'm thinking about doing the fuel injection kit on it, just for more for the fuel economy than a little bit more horsepower. And that was my odyssey from fighter pilot to airline pilot to gyronaut.
All right. Well, Shawn, thanks so much for throwing this event out here at the Corona Airport. And guys, if you do want to do some training, come out and see us at Chino. Again, if you're a private pilot, it's a simple add-on rating to your fixed-wing license. No minimum hour requirements. 2 CFIs can do it. We can get it done in a couple days. And I guarantee if you start flying one of these things, you're going to love it.
A couple of days, that's amazing.
Yeah.
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 Chino's a great place to learn. You got all those runways, and so you get a little bit of wind. Gyroplanes love the wind, so don't be afraid of flying in the wind. It's not like a light sport where you're gonna, lose your back teeth. You can actually fly these things in a lot of wind.
If you don't like turbulence, these are the things to fly, because as you know, turbulence hits the wings of an aircraft, causes a lot of the turbulence.
It doesn't have any.
How about that?
How about that? Yeah.
You'll love the gyro. Super easy to fly and land. Come out and see us at Chino.